Hi, friends. Welcome to Coffee Break. This is Dr. Michele, your family psychologist, and I am so excited about our topic for this afternoon because I hear a lot of people asking for this. I hear so many stories that the problem is either lack or too much of this, and that is space in togetherness, or let us say space in relationships. So, meron na ba kayong naging issue regarding this? Yung space. Kailangan ko ng space. Sa relasyon, may humihingi madalas ng space or tayo mismo nararamdaman natin, bakit pakiramdam ko nasasakal ako at wala akong space? S-P-A-C-E, space. So, join me. Get your coffee, yung matapang-tapang. Get your tea, friends. So, let us talk about this topic. Alam ko marami sa atin na makaka-relate and gaano ba kaka-importante itong bagay na ito sa atin. Gaano ba ka-importante na matutunan natin it's about space and relationships. So, how are you, friends? How are you this afternoon? How are you in this coffee break session? I know that lahat tayo may pinagdaanan, lahat tayo may pinanggalingan, lahat tayo, there's just too much in our head. And actually, there's so many things that we can do about space, you know. But I would like to talk about the context of space sa relasyon. Have you ever been in a relationship that sometimes you feel that you can no longer breathe and you don't know who you are anymore? Because sometimes it may be a stifling kind of relationship, or other times, tayo mismo yung gumagawa ng way na parang tayo mismo yung hindi makahinga dahil sa mga pamamaraan natin. Tayo mismo yung nagko-cause ng pagiging nasasakal at stifling because maybe we demand a lot, maybe the rules of engagement in the relationship are not clear, or maybe sometimes it's not flexible, or minsan naman dyan papasok ang boundaries. Hindi natin alam kung ano yung sa atin at ano yung din sa partner, sa asawa, even sa anak. Kasi minsan, alam nyo, friends, let's just look into this common problems. The common problem in space, it's about some problems that happens. Sa mag-boyfriend, narinig nyo ba yan? Nag-break kasi kailangan ng space ng isa kasi nasasakal na siya or something. And then sa mag-asawa, minsan may magre-reklamo, kailangan ko ng space. Well, come to think of it, it's really a problem of space in between the relationship or a problem of the person to have a relationship with him or herself. Are you getting me? Is it really a problem of space? I want to ask you, when the issue in a marriage or in a family, it's that walang space dito sa bahay na to, lalo na ngayon. In the middle of all this lockdown, na quarantine situation, we feel that, do we ever felt that we are trapped in the middle of our family life? Parang hindi ako makakilos, hindi ko makagawa yung gusto ko. Walang space, hindi ako makapag-diskarte or desisyon ng sarili ko. And sometimes it becomes a problem for many. And if you have any concerns about this, or if you can relate with some of the things that I'm telling you, please, by all means, put it there at the comment section. Bakit ko to nasabi? Because come to think of it, my big question is, do you think it's really the problem of space, or is it the problem of the person with a relationship with him or herself? So is it a problem of space, or is it about the inner relationship of the person? Bakit ko ito nasabi? Yung space, kasi madalas natin yan makita. There are two things that can happen. When a person say, I want space in the relationship. Okay, so the space here is that kailangan kong lumayo kasi parang nasasakal na ako. Why? it might be a signal that the person is asking for his or her own space to be able to do what he likes and to develop a deeper relationship with him or herself. Pag sinabi naman ng isang tao na parang, um, yeah, right, Bell, in a relationship of the person. And then there would be people that who can be clingy, who want na to do everything. So for a mother, gusto ko lahat kasama yung mga anak. Gusto ko laging settled because we feel that our home, our kids are our reflection of who we are, right? And well, that is true. But at a certain point, do we need to do everything? Because sometimes a person would want to move apart, would want to move out, or want to move back in order to create space to give himself that benefit. Or a person is needy of someone, of the husband, whoever, simply because they find it the fulfillment of themselves. They cannot find who they are, and so clinging into this kinds of relationship, clinging to the family, clinging to the marriage, clinging to the kids. May mga parents clingy pa rin sa anak ang tatanda na ayaw pa rin mag-let go. The more they cling, the more they feel that it builds their worth. That is why, the question of space is that, do we ever have a good relationship with ourselves? Babalik tayo dyan. The cravings for space is actually asking, how is my relationship with myself? And then let me just go through with you some areas that we need to reflect na, ay, uh, uh, do I need space ba? Do you need space? How would we know that we need space? In a relationship, how would we know do we need space? Uh, let's go first before we move into that. Let's look at the common problem. There are two things that, as if we are looking into a person craving for space, either for him to grow and get to know himself, or they anchor themselves on the other person. So having this space is actually the common problem with any family, and especially in marriage or in couple relationships, is that they need to be separate in order to grow together. Funny, no? That's the irony. They need to be separate in order to grow together. Because two things that couples are supposed to be enriching is that how they are when they're separated from others, when they're on their own, and how they are when they develop their closeness, when they develop their relationship or their togetherness, diba? The space is that the distance between us, and then the togetherness is tayo. So you always have to balance. I think I have an episode way back. You have to balance the I and the we. Ako at tayo. It's not always I, because we are social beings. We need our relationship, but it's not always the we. Because who would be the I without the we? Paano natin makikilala kung sino tayo if it's always with other people? Pero, what's the problem if there's too much separateness? Yung masyadong hiwa-hiwalay. Of course, we grow apart. We grow apart. As in, parang sa bahay hindi na magkakakilala, sa bahay kahit nandyan kayo, pero you grow apart, kanya-kanyang buhay, para na lang kayong mga quote-unquote borders at home. And then another one is miscommunication, because there's lack of connection, then there's miscommunication. So ayan, one is growing apart, second is miscommunication, hindi kayo marunong magkaintindihan, you cannot agree to disagree, you cannot even talk with each other because there's a lack of emotional connection. I have to put this in Tagalog. Pag sinabi nating emotional connection, yung kapalagayang loob, yung kuha nyo yung isa't isa, hindi lang sa isip, pero yung sa loobin. At saka yung relasyon na yung parang, you know that you can empathize with the other person. That's the one. So there's lack of connection. And another problem with too much separateness is that you just simply don't care. Kahit na pamilya mo pa yan, kahit na ano pa yan, sometimes you just simply don't care. And we have to look into this. How are you with this? Are you towards too much separateness, or are you in this part that you are mostly together? And when we're mostly together, the thing is that if it's mostly together, hindi ba dapat ngayon na lagi naman kayo magkasama? And then couples and family members, most of you are at home. How would you feel if you are often together? kung kayo yung laging nandiyan lang sa bahay tapos yung lahat ng ginagawa ng asawa mo, anak mo, gusto mo, alam mo, parang ako mismo, ayoko nun. Why? I have a different life. I have a life of my own and they have a life of their own. I am my own person and my family member, even my husband is his own person. So, but then that closeness, that too much closeness, this is very cultural. I can just ramble and then but I would like you to know that this is very Pinoy. We are mostly like that. Not we don't have boundaries. Sometimes parang sa bahay maghihiraman ng gamit, yung gamit niya without asking permission. And that is lack of boundary. Or we don't know anymore who is whom speaking. Hindi na natin alam yung sarili nating opinion because we're always speaking for our loved ones. Parang hindi natin sila tinatanong kasi ako na lang basta. Kasi alam ko naman, kilala ko naman sila. We assume that we're just too close. We're too close. Another one, too much togetherness, and then too much togetherness is that nakakasakal. Are you familiar with that? Have you ever been in that situation? Pakiramdam natin, tayo ay nasasakal sa relasyon. And friends, alam nyo, this really happens. Yung bang we feel na nakakasakal yung relasyon. Nakakasakal na may ibang tao na lagi na lang controlling us. Sometimes, if we are aware of it, we know how to get out of it. But other people, we call it the homing instinct, that they're so used to having someone control them that they feel that they seem to live as if hindi nila kayang mabuhay nang wala itong taong to controlling them because they don't know any other way. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous. Yung nakakasakal, sabihin nila, ayaw kong payagan eh. But at the back of your mind, gusto mo naman hindi ka pinapayagan. You feel that somebody is caring for you. And you feel that you're looked out for. Parang minsan, di ba, I've heard, those stories na parang, yung asawa ko kasi gusto niya lagi kami magkasama. It's flattering. It's flattering na gusto ng asawa natin na lagi tayo magkasama. But mind you, if it's already to the point of controlling and we cannot do what we want to do, oh my God, that it can be dangerous in the long run. I'm sorry if I'm so blunt. I'm sorry, friends. Are you still here? Are you still here and you're picking up what I'm saying? So, kailangan ba talaga ng space sa relasyon? I would like to ask you, it's your turn to answer now. Why do you think we need space in relationships? I am trying to establish here, space is needed in relationship. Pero kayo, ano sa tingin nyo? Bakit kailangan ng space sa relasyon, sa pamilya, sa asawa, at kahit sa anak, or kahit sa mga kapatid, kahit sa magulang, sa nanay nyo, sa tatay nyo, na lagi nalang clingy. Pero why do you think space is critical in relationships? Can you put that in the comment section, friends? Oh, somebody said for self-care. Yes. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's needed? Why do you think we have to have that space? Self-care lang ba? Self-care, it's the outward expression of everything, ha? I would like, laliman pa natin. Ami, take care of yourself. Laliman pa natin, friends. Para hindi masakal ang taong mahal natin. Pero that's about the other person. Pero paano sa'yo? Do you know why do you need space? Because you need to develop a relationship with yourself. For us to grow as an individual. Perfect, Jessie. Retain our individuality, Imelda. Perfect. There is such thing as called individuation. We need space because we need to grow as our own person. You know what I mean? Hindi pwedeng laging dependent sa lahat. It's good to be dependent to the family that we love. It's good to be together with our spouse, with our children. But if we remove them out of the picture, who would you be? Just to recharge, Ami? Para mag-recharge lang? Hindi pa laliman pa natin. O pag naka-recharge ka na, pag nag-self-care ka na, so what is it about? The main reason why space is very critical is for us to grow as an individual person, for us to love the person that the Lord has made us to be, to retain our individuality. And for me, I would really say that that is how relationships should be. Melanie, you're saying woman empowerment and strong women. It's just not about that. Let's just move that pop thing. Sorry, I'm not into woman empowerment, strong woman. I'm not that. I'm not into that because we know that we are strong given with. But I would gusto kong laliman pa natin. You know, in coffee break, I talk about topics that are not really talked about, and then I would like you to move into that mindset na ito lang, laliman natin. You know, um, the main reason why we need space is that we want to develop that inner relationship, that inner life, a better relationship with ourselves. Apart from our family, apart from our friends, yung bang, you have to enjoy the quiet and the peace that comes with you being alone. You are comfortable with your own thoughts. We are comfortable with our weakness. We are comfortable with our smell. We are comfortable with us being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I like that. Having space is us being comfortable with the discomforts of life. It's accessing our emotions, it's listening to our thoughts without judging ourselves, and it's simply about getting to know ourselves all over again. And you know, friends, yan ang madalas makalimutan ng adults. Because as adults, our lives are always about other people. As adults, we want to keep sharing ourselves. We want to keep giving our lives. We want to keep being with someone, and that is okay. But as adults, we, we, I'll tell you the big thing. The big thing why we need that space in togetherness is that, of course, relationships are part of our lives. But in the process, we need to really get to know who we are. Then you're saying to become the authentic person that you are, no pretensions and judgment. I love that. Yang, getting to know what is best for you as a person, that's another thing. But let's look at it this way. May and to feel our inner self even without other people. Yes. Friends, do you ever this is one thing that I love to do, even the pre-pandemic until now. I love going to coffee shops and just being quiet and just having time for myself. I love being lost in my own thoughts, not in the social media that sometimes we tend to be. Because as adult, you remember this, the ability when we were teenagers or in early adulthood, we are asked to build who we are, our identity. But that doesn't mean, and then when we are in relationships, like if we're building a family as adults, like in your 20s, late 20s, going 30s and 40s, we are asked to be intimate with other people, develop deeper connections with our loved ones. And that's the focus. But it doesn't mean that we overtake our identity to our need for intimacy. We do not overtake our identity in our quest and our need for intimacy because both of them should go hand in hand. We are who we are, but we connect, we become intimate without losing the self. That's why so many problems happen in adult relationships because we tend to get the formula wrong. I think I mentioned this last time is that we tend to be into others but not into ourselves. But the formula is supposed to be to have a better relationship with someone is that who we are and who we are in the eyes of God is the primary template for which all relationships are formed. So if we have a relationship with ourselves, and then it's easier for us to have a better relationship with another person. And that space in between, that is why we keep juggling. We don't want to be too consumed. Can you say that with me? Can you comment that in the comment section? We don't want to be too consumed with what others, about others, for others, about love and all our family is all about. We don't want to be too consumed by others alone. because that's the formula for us to be a better lover, to have a relationship with ourselves. And the ability, so if you would notice, we have to be able to build our identity, build our identity to be able to boost on our intimacy with someone, with others. And another thing that I would like you to reflect about, it's the ability to individuate and the ability to connect. Individuate, to be our individual, adult, mature person, and the ability to connect with others. Hindi niyo ba napansin, there are some people, the main problem with them connecting with someone is that they want the connection alone, but they do not want to have a relationship with themselves because they do not know themselves in the first place. So who they are is a product of how they are in relationships. It's supposed to be how our relationships are is a product of how our relationship with ourselves. Kaya, pag tinanggal natin ang relasyon ng ibang tao, tanggalin mo isang tao sa sarili mo. Tanggalin, you have a breakup, your kids leave for college or leave for abroad, your kids no longer need you because they're bigger, or maybe your family member died, or they went abroad, or there are just some changes, or maybe even death and grief in the family. Friends, that's why it's very critical. I don't want to consume you with all this with extreme situations, but the main reason why I'm talking with you with this is that that's why we're having a hard time coping, because it we are being consumed by too much about others. So we have to, this is really hard. Why? Because it's very cultural. It's very cultural, friends. Kaya tayo nahihirapan na isipin tong pagiging individual and pagiging being the ability to individuate and the ability to connect. It's because we're too family oriented, and that is good. But never forget that we have a relationship, an inner life to nurture. I always say that. Can you say that with me? We have an inner life to nurture. Nurture our inner life. Can you put that in the comment section? Because I find it very beautiful. And can you say that with me while you're saying it, while you're typing it? We have an inner life to nurture, and that is our relationship with ourselves and with the Lord. And if we put that in place, there's no problem in space, because we find a space within us, and we respect also the silence in between our relationships. And it's easy for us to recalibrate ourselves to connect with the more important relationships that we have. So we have to learn to nurture that inner life. And as I said earlier, um, what are the common, too many common problems happen, but it's difficult because of our cultural upbringing. And another thing is that we think that when we are in a family, where we are in a marriage, dapat pareho kami. But does it mean na pareho ba lagi? Friends, ang galing kung lagi na lang kayong pareho ng asawa nyo in all aspects. Pareho ba talaga kayo tayo ng desisyon, or one is just simply deciding for the other person? So there's no longer space. Kasi parang, ba't ka nag-desisyon? Hindi mo ako tinanong. Or you just go ahead and do it. But being connected doesn't mean you are the same. It's gonna be boring. Kung pareho tayo, it's gonna be boring. So that's why parang we might say that sana pareho kami. But honestly, it's not. It's not gonna be the same altogether. And another thing is that being separate does not mean, if we are separated, it does not mean that it's not being reachable. Parang, paano pag naghiwalay na kami? Paano if we do things separately? We have space, baka hindi na namin kilala yung isa't isa. There's an old saying that absence makes the hearts go wonder. And I think totoo yun. Because we tend to miss each other. But then, in the process of missing each other, if you're separated, you don't pin yourselves na sana nandito siya, sana ganito, on an activity or something or an experience with the other person. When we are apart, we try to nourish ourselves. We try to recharge. It might be challenging kasi nasa bahay tayo, and maybe your husband is like me, my husband is in the second floor working, but Come to think of it, we are not doing things together. I am doing my thing, he is doing his thing. It doesn't mean that we do everything together because we have varied and different lives to live. To lead. Are we becoming separated? No. Are we becoming unreachable to each other? No. That is why when we can, we try to check with each other at the end of the day and to connect again. Gano'n siya. Parang, okay, for now, magkahiwalay, pero after a while, and then there's space. And then I know that men are more into asking for their space because women tend to be more relational. And I think I'll discuss that in the next session. But look at it. A couple, each family needs to create their own system. It just cannot be the same for everybody. And that is in creating that own system, space is really needed. You don't put in the old system that you built with your own family, meaning your family of origin, because you need to build a new system. Because if you learn how to balance, if we couples learn how to balance about our inner life and an outer life, if we learn how to balance our separateness and closeness, if we learn how to balance also being being an individual or building our identity and building our intimacy, that's the greatest balance that mature adults are able to do. Can I just be blunt? Maraming mature na dapat na adults, they don't know who they are. Or they lost themselves along the way. Why? They forgot to create their internal space. Many couples find themselves, they love each other, but they feel that they're no longer growing. Why? They forgot to build and to create space in between so that both will grow to be individual persons, but both of them will grow together. Does that make sense? Friends, do you have a needs for space? Do you have questions regarding, and I've been discussing here and I'm so passionate in sharing with you, why do we need space? Why is it important? In the two things we're balancing, there are our separateness and our closeness. We are balancing also our individuality or identity, and of course, our intimacy with someone. And these are critical aspects. These are not easy, but I would leave you with this. I would like you to reflect on these areas. If you have questions, please put that here at the comment section, or you can just send it to me through the message through the through the message box in this episode so that I can continue the discussion on the on what do you call this on Thursday. Also, friends, I would like to invite you to come and visit. We are remaking my website. We are remaking our website, and if you would like to subscribe to my email list, because my email list will contain new articles and other programs that I do, so you will not miss out. You can subscribe to my website, and I will flash it here. My website is michelealignay.com. That is my website. You can just check it out and you can subscribe. You can always subscribe to this if you are watching via YouTube. You can always subscribe also via Spotify for this coffee break with Dr. Michelle. And in this Facebook Live, you can always hit that alert button so that whenever I go live or whenever I post something, you can be the first to like or to catch or to comment. So, friends, I am really thankful for your support here at Coffee Break, and I hope that these are solid information regarding family life, relationships, and your well being. Because, if you don't create an inner life, if we do not nurture space in between, it's going to be hard to really nurture a relationship. And I'll continue this really hot discussion on Thursday. See you again, friends. This is Dr. Michelle Ignay for Coffee Break. God bless you all.